Hello there, everybody. I hope you are doing well. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. If you're new here, I am a certified tarot reader. Been doing it for years, and I'm also a former newspaper journalist. So it kind of gives you an idea how I go about my readings. Try to get my facts straight, and then we go to spirit and get a little more context for what's going on. And I'm also an ordained and initiated priestess in both Wiccan and African traditions. So I've got a lot on my plate spiritually and professionally, and I try to blend those and bring you some good content. I really appreciate your presence here. I appreciate your energy. It's a great community that we have on this platform, and we need each other now more than ever. This is how we not only stay informed, but we stay encouraged and then hopefully inspired and motivated to get through this moment in history, this time in, this period of history. It's not easy, but together we will make it. All right, you all. Just a couple of things. I don't think this is going to probably be a short reading because there's just a couple of things I want to check on. Trade war. So here we go. China, all of this stuff, well, all the countries, but this now we understand China, the tariffs are going up to 104%. And what we're hearing from FDT, if you're not, I call him FDT, felon, fake, fraud, FDT, right? You know who DT is. So he's coming out, of course, and saying, holding his line, like, no, they're gonna negotiate with us. I want to see whether China is going to not back down. They're saying they're not going to back down. Of course, we're hearing just the opposite from the White House. That there are all the countries, everybody's already making calls and begging to work something out. The Wall Street certainly hopes so, because that would help probably stabilize the markets once, if there are negotiations taking place. That would help stabilize the markets, and goodness knows we need that. But I'm not getting that, you all. I want to go to spirit on that one. I feel like China's a dog in this fight. And I'm also want to take a look at Putin, because I'm getting a sense that notice who's missing from the tariffs. But okay. Uh, but I'm getting the impression that somehow Putin and Russia are in China's ear, like egging them on, anything to make FDT look bad and make the United States look bad and make the United States suffer. So that's another reason that I'm getting a hit that I'm getting from Spirit. Would love to hear what your thoughts are as well about why China might just continue to fight back and not be willing to negotiate, or at least not so easily. So going to take a look at that. Another thing I want to look at, this blew my mind. What's his name? Scott Bessent? I think his first name is Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, had the nerve to come out and say that in regards to federal workers losing their jobs, that they would then be funneled into the manufacturing sector in factory jobs. So was that the plan? Like, is that a part of Doge, Elon? Like, in taking away all these jobs from federal workers, we know what the Supreme Court said. We'll discuss a little bit later. Not disappointed, because I would have had, we would have had to believe that they do the right thing. But as usual, they punked out. Didn't left wiggle room for the fight to continue. But the idea that nonprofits could not file the lawsuits on behalf of federal workers, and so in the improper plaintiffs, these nonprofits, that was their reason for kicking it back. SCOTUS's reason for saying, no, you can go ahead and terminate these federal workers. Like, come on, y'all. Come on. Like, okay. But federal workers is the goal. I don't know if this was a part of Project 2025, but is the long game. Take them out of federal government and replace what would have probably been a lot of immigrant labor in factories. Replace them and put federal workers, white collar workers, middle class workers, send them to the factories. We're going to take a look at that. And finally, you all, the town halls. Tonight, I'm taping this early Wednesday morning, the 9th, but Sanders, I always say Saunders. Bernie Sanders is going to be on CNN holding a live town hall tonight with on CNN, from what I understand. Cannot wait for that. He has been at it, and as has Tim Walz. One of the things that we're hearing a lot about from Musk, FDT, and others is certainly Stephen Miller and all the Project 2025 folk, is to get rid of the public sense of empathy, because that is what motivates people to protect democracy, protect freedoms. That's where people connect. That is a lot of the glue that's happening with the town halls and even the live protest movements we saw so well last weekend. So I want to take a look at the prevalence of town halls, and if in fact a lot of what's being done is to try and destroy, because we're understanding as well that they are messaging the MAGA faithful, and especially the Christian nationalists, to desensitize them. Gonna just get confirmation around that and see if the town halls and the protests are gonna hold up. Right? All right, let's go. So first, going to this trade war with China. I have the Four of Wands that came at the bottom of the deck. Somebody's going to ask. I'm reading from the Good Tarot today. So the Four of Wands, that's, there's a completion. And it's going to burn out. It's going to burn out. And it's going to leave him, FDT. He's going to be forced to back down. Wheel of Fortune, exactly. It's a matter of timing, and it's a matter of trying to save face. King of Wands. I don't know if that's not him. That feels like China, the leader of China. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know the name. And I also, Spirit is Russia. It's Putin and Russia. Are they in talks with China to stick it out? Are they advising China? I have the Queen of Pentacles. That's interesting. I didn't expect that. Queen of Pentacles. And another Queen of Pentacles and Queen of Cups are coming up now. I did not expect to see feminine energy coming up with regard to Russia or China. But, oh, I get it. Thank you, Spirit. This is not so much a person, I don't think, or people, as it is the notion of taking care of the people. Because Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, is how people are eating, how people are taking care of their families, how people are doing all right by themselves, and nurturing the people. Queen of Cups. Am I reading that right, Spirit? Is this more about them, Russia and Putin and China getting together around Five of Cups? Yes. There's the people of China, just as the people of America, are going to suffer behind this. And the blowback from the leaders like Putin and I'm sorry, again, I don't remember the name of the leader of China, but the Chinese government, and this is the pressure that will build on China despite Russia's, egging them on to do something. Because 104% on our end, not to mention what's going to happen to Americans with the imports from China. And there's the Two of Wands. Basically, that I feel like Spirit is confirming. That is China and Russia collaborating. How do we move forward together in a way that, we're going to have to address the fact that the people of China are going to suffer tremendously. Their economy is going to take a hit. But how do we work together to try and save face, to push and force Trump's hand or FDT's hand and try and save face? Ten of Cups. Because they want to, as a world power, China's thing is going to be we're in the flow. We're in the flow. We're in control. Ten of Cups is bounty. It is domestic product. They want to move their product. They want to continue to move their product, and they realize that if the prices are so high based on reciprocal tariffs, and United States consumers, they're some of their biggest customers. King of Swords. There's old boy coming in. Gemini FDT. Spirit, will FDT be forced to back down from China specifically? Not barring all of the other tariffs that are in place, but I'm focusing on China. And there's the world. It will come to an end, you all. And he's an unfortunately, well, no, not unfortunately. Let him eat crow. Let him eat crow. It will, because it's not sustainable. And it's not sustainable. What I love about what we saw from Spirit in this reading is not only is it not sustainable on our end, on what we know is happening to our economy and the destruction, needless destruction that's happening. It is also about the Chinese. They are going to do, they may not be able to do things that resist in the same ways that we can do here, but that the recognition that it will impact their China's ability to move as a world power, as a superpower. And remember as well, a lot of what we've been hearing is China's been like laughing all the way to the bank with FDT's antics, because it was going to position China to become more influential across the globe, right? All right. So yeah, that's coming to an end. I do think Russia's in their ear, but Russia in and of itself is not having enough sway. It is really going to be the people of China and China's economy that's going to sway them. All right, moving on. Federal workers. So Besant said, Treasury Secretary Besant came out and said, no big deal. People losing their jobs, federal workers are out of work. Just go ahead and send them over to factories. Like, not quite sure where all these manufacturing jobs are. Not quite sure in what sectors, and what they are manufacturing. But I'm asking Spirit, is that the plan? Was that the plan? Was that a part of Project 2025, Doge? Was that the plan to yank federal workers out of their jobs and push at least a huge swath of them into manufacturing and factories? Was that deliberate? Seven of Cups. It's been under consideration, but also they don't know how that will work because it's not in place yet. Again, which companies, what manufacturers, making what, where, what part of the country. And here we have a Queen of Wands. There's someone who's going to be very, very outspoken about that topic. And I'm not sure if this was a former official in the federal government, but there's someone who is going to light that up. The more they talk, they better ditch that topic right away, because the more that comes out, you were yanked out so that your skills, Eight of Pentacles, the skilled person, the craftsman, and that's not taking anything away. I don't want to be insulting to anybody. Let me check myself. That's not taking anything away from very diligent, skilled manufacturing workers. But the idea that people who were in a very, very different industry, using a very different set of skills, would be forced just by virtue of trying to make a living to do that. And whoever she is, she's gonna light that topic up. She's coming forward and really, and here comes the Queen of Swords. I often think of Kamala when I see the Queen of Swords because she's a Libra, but I'm getting AOC, perhaps Kamala, but this is let's never discount Jasmine Crockett, right? This is a female presence who's going to light it up. The idea that people's lives have been upended to force them, basically force them into jobs that don't even exist yet. Hangman. Exactly. Turning people's lives upside down deliberately for something that doesn't even exist yet. I mean, we're told eight of cups, and people are not going to buy that at all. Like, just absolutely disengaged from that, absolutely refusing to all the hard work, all of the education, all of the dedication as civil servants. The people would rather just go into business for themselves, do whatever, but absolutely walking away. The whole premise behind that is asinine, is what I'm getting from Spirit, you all. The premise of that, the idea that people would be so easily manipulated to walk away from, careers that they've been proud of and really dedicated themselves to, that at a drop of a hat, they just go sit in a factory and pound out whatever. Not going to happen, you all. And again, this is so interesting that it is in both of these readings so far, the feminine element is coming out very strongly. And we've been saying for a while that the divine feminine, all of this toxic masculinity, this absolute, the manosphere that's having its little heyday right now. All right. Finally, empathy. There is clearly, Spirit has been very, very clear on this. There is a concerted effort, calculated effort to desensitize people. I was even thinking about, and how many times have we seen the clips now of those men who were deported to El Salvador, bent over with the hands on their necks, making them more, they were already chained. Like, there's so much happening to make people desensitized, but it is a concerted effort to do that. It is a part of the Project 2025 playbook to do that. However, on the flip side, where empathy grows is when people come together at these town halls, at protests, where people are able to express their opinions, their stories, they're sharing their stories, and that is what keeps us connected. That is a huge part of democracy. And I am asking Spirit, will the American people see that for what it is? Will the town halls continue and grow? Will this movement continue and grow? No question about it. After I shuffled, I always pay attention to what's at the bottom of the deck after I shuffle. And I got the Ace of Wands, you all. Fire in the people's bellies. It will continue to grow. There is a need for it. It is what, and here comes Queen of Wands again. I'm telling y'all, there's a feminine force. And again, when I read tarot, it's not, when I pull queens, when I pull feminine energy, it's not always people, although very often it is, but it is the energy of that card, which when we are dealing with feminine energy here, it is the energy of confidence, of inspiration, of motivation, of stamina. It is the assurance through empathy that we give one another. And that ace of fire, right? That it is the assurance and the reassurance that people are getting through these demonstrations, through having their voices heard, through knowing that people like Bernie Sanders, 83 years old, finding the energy and the wherewithal to get out here and nationally and do his thing, and Tim Walz doing his thing, coming out. And we have the 8 of Pentacles shows up again. Yes, we're going to continue to see through both demonstrations, through town halls, and through other people. Can't discount still what Cory Booker did. There are so many others, even though the media is not covering them. I feel like this 8 of Pentacles is representing the numbers of leaders who are emerging and yet to emerge. The organizers, let's give them credit, the organizers of the town halls in the various cities and counties. The 10 of Swords, the knowing that's a really stressful energy, but knowing that is what will prompt people, because that energy is not going anywhere anytime soon, you all. I hate it. I hate it for all of us. But this is where we are. It is stressful. No two ways about it. But that stress, rather than causing retreat, is going to continue to cause and foster momentum. Spirit, am I getting that right? The future of protests and town halls. I have the Page of Cups, keeping it flowing, and we will continue to see more and more people. Pages can represent youth, but also can represent creativity, can represent momentum, fresh ideas, fresh momentum. So it may be, in addition to protests and town halls, there may be other forums or other ways that develop for people to continue to come together and show the nine of wands. That's pressure, but that's pressure to continue to do it no matter what. Pressure to continue to show up, pressure to continue to express our voices, pressure to continue to investigate. I also feel like there's a little bit of the courts in here, because the courts are going through hell, right? We ain't dealing with SCOTUS. Barring, of course, the liberal portion. And, Amy Coney Barrett is like back and forth. But I do have a feeling that we haven't seen the last of her in coming down with the liberal side of the court. And finally, we have the Three of Wands, a card of growth, a card of collaboration and collectivity. So yes, that I hope is reassuring for you all, that Spirit is saying these town halls, these protests, these methods and leaders who are emerging, and the resultant empathy that comes out of that, because it is our ability to empathize with one another, for people who perhaps are not going through the same thing. Not all of us are federal workers, but we certainly empathize with what is being done to federal workers. We empathize with people who are just being rounded up and deported. That empathy, that quality, that human quality of empathy, regardless of someone who, like Muskrat, who came out and said it was suicidal, something like suicidal empathy, or that it was different plane. Makes no sense, but we will continue to foster that, and it will be fostered through these demonstrations. All right, you all. Let's see what Bernie Sanders has to say this evening. I hope you all can tune in, whether or not you're happy with CNN these days. But I think that's a pretty smart move to put, because we can't all be in these different cities that, and then we get the clips on video. So it'd be nice to see it live where everyone can have access to it. Please, you all, chin up and our shoulders back, and we got to remember to breathe and empathize with one another, right? That while it is being twisted as something unnecessary or something soft or something wimpy, that is a strength and a power that we have that will not be quashed. All right, I'll talk to you real soon. Bye.